There's no such thing as a pure introvert or extrovert. Such a person would be in the lunatic asylum. Renowned psychiatrist Carl Jung was onto something there. The terms introverts and extroverts were coined by Jung in the early 20th century. But unfortunately, their meanings got a bit confused between now and then, as somewhere along the way we started believing that we can only be one or the other. Jung's point was that these are extremes on the personality scale, and most of us fall somewhere in the middle, often leaning towards one or the other rather than being 100% of either, which, let's be frank, would probably be disastrous. In today's episode, we will be taking a look at what it means to be an introvert and our top 7 suggestions on what you can do to be a happier introvert, provided by actual introverts. Stay with us until the end of the video to hear our top 3 tips on how to manage rejection, which is an essential tool in any happy introvert's handbook. So how would you characterize someone who leans more towards being an introvert on the scale? Perhaps what comes to mind is that they are shy or have a negative personality. Quiet, reserved, and thoughtful, introverts often get labeled as shy. But in fact, they just find it tiring being around many people. And while they might tend to report lower levels of happiness than extroverts, it doesn't mean that they are unhappy. Introverts, or those with introverted tendencies, tend to recharge by spending time alone. They often find social interaction drains their energy, so usually prefer to be alone or in the company of just a few. They aren't necessarily shy or avoid all social situations either. They just need time alone or with only close friends or family after spending time in a large crowd. In contrast, those who possess more extroverted tendencies find that being around others actually makes them feel revitalized, and they're more likely to feel their energy depleting when spending time alone. It may be tricky to understand the needs of an introvert, but this is a great explanation of an introvert's need to be alone. For introverts, to be alone with our thoughts is as restorative as sleeping, as nourishing as eating. Now let's get into our 7 tips on how to be a happier introvert. Starting off at number 7, a surprising yet effective tip. Film yourself. Tend to feel awkward in your own skin. Try filming yourself. I know you're cringing at this one, but let us explain. This is a great method that can give you useful feedback for you to work with. Film yourself for 2 to 3 minutes in a natural environment that you see yourself evolving in, personally or professionally. Whether it's speaking with a friend about something you're interested in or practicing for a job interview, you'll realize very quickly that you don't come across anywhere near as awkward as you imagined. Perhaps you'll even think you come across as a little charming or friendly. You can also look at your physical movements and see if there is anything you find seems particularly awkward that you could pay attention to. Hand movements, your posture, eye contact, or even the projection of your voice. You don't need to change who you are, but there may be some things you can adapt or improve to make yourself feel more at ease in the real world. Number 6. Focus on what's right with you. Introverts have a hard time having to hear all the things that are apparently wrong with them. Too intense, too quiet, too solitary, not enough fun. I'm sorry, fun according to who exactly? Give yourself permission to ask these questions. What's the problem with being alone? What's wrong with thinking deeply and having a quiet night in with friends rather than going to a big party? What's so bad about being quiet? By asking these kinds of questions, introverts are more able to clearly identify their own strengths. What society may consider negative or weird is actually what makes the best part of you. Having the ability to think deeply is a gift, as it gives one a chance to reimagine their world, to see new relationships between things, and to connect with their own selves on a deeper level, which can help nurture talents. There are great things about being an extrovert, sure. But you've got to admit, being an introvert comes with some pretty cool brain power. Next at number 5, just do it. That famous slogan consists of just 3 little words, but the message is powerful. Perhaps it sounds a bit overwhelming, but what this really comes down to in terms of just doing it is that you have to act the part and just go for it. Get out of your comfort zone. There's good reason to. Several studies have found that when introverts are told to act like an extrovert around others, they experience greater positive emotion than introverts acting as their usual selves. Surprisingly, even greater than extroverts, according to their own ratings. A good tip is to instead look at a situation you would typically identify as difficult and uncomfortable as a challenge or adventure. Recent scientific and psychological studies have proven that by doing this, we are able to better cope with stress and anxiety. You can also use social media like Facebook and Twitter as a stepping stone to eventual face-to-face connections. This can provide you with a level of familiarity and comfort with a new person. Try to see future social settings and each new interaction as a unique opportunity and adventure to meet new and interesting people. So sometimes when you want to say no, say yes instead. Who knows who you'll meet, what new experiences you'll have, memories you'll make, or how it will positively shape your future. So just do it. This brings us nicely onto number 4 on the list. Just do it, but then refuel. Absolutely, you should step outside your comfort zone and get used to saying yes more often. But the key is to reward yourself afterwards by what some describe as a restorative niche. Put simply, this is space you give yourself to recharge and refuel after an activity that felt draining. As an example, let's say you made plans to go out with a big group of friends one night. You know it's going to wear your introverted self out. So you plan to prioritize some time to yourself the next morning. Perhaps it's just going for a walk on your own or staying home and binging your favorite series on Netflix. You are entitled to those moments that are so important for nourishing your introvert parts. And by indulging in them, you'll find yourself feeling more comfortable with who you are, which will give you the energy and ability to be more present in social situations. Talking of being present, let's talk about number 3. Remain in the present and shift the focus. The more present you are, the less awkward you'll feel. Essentially, one of the biggest yet most effective things you can do as an introvert is to change your way of thinking. Try to really remain present in whatever conversation or interaction you're having. Not just there, but really there. Paying attention and focusing on the other person and what they have to say. A great strategy for awkward situations as an introvert is to take the attention off yourself by asking questions, being totally invested in the words the other person is saying, deeply listening. This way, you're making a situation about someone else, and you won't feel the pressure of the attention being on you. As an added bonus, you'll naturally end up feeling more comfortable to be yourself and open up to the person you are getting to know. Number 2. Learn to manage rejection. Now, easier said than done perhaps, but bear in mind that the key to building social resilience is by developing a tolerance for rejection. We don't know how others will respond to us, and we have to accept that rejection is a part of life. It's just something we have to accept. Introverts tend to find rejection something particularly difficult to deal with compared to their extroverted counterparts. Here are our 3 top tips for dealing with rejection. But before we get into that, if you're enjoying the video, please give it a like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you stay up to date with our latest uploads. Number 1. Build your self-esteem. Being rejected can make us feel pretty bad about ourselves. So make a list of personal accomplishments and things you really like about yourself. Recognize the things you're good at. Spend time with people who are positive influences in your life. And above all, be kind and go easy on yourself. Number 2. Allow yourself to feel all the emotions you're feeling. After rejection, some may feel disappointed, sad, or angry. There's no right way to feel. All emotions are valid, so don't suppress them, but acknowledge them and allow them to be. It's okay to need support from people you trust, but preferably not the person that rejected you. You need time to cool off, to avoid doing or saying something you'll regret later. Number 3. Reflect on the experience. It's a cliché, but true. Good or bad, every experience can teach us something, even rejection. By reflecting on the experience, it gives you the opportunity to grow and prepare for the next time you get rejected. Think about whether you would do anything different next time, and what you learned, however small and insignificant that thing might seem to be. Rejection doesn't define you as a person. It's simply a part of life experience. At number 1 on our list, embrace the person you are. The more you embrace the person you are, thinking positively and taking pride in yourself, the more successful you're likely to be at social events, job interviews, and in dating, because you will be negotiating those situations on your own terms. It's important not to engage in group activities from the viewpoint of, I should be more social because I'm an introvert, but from a place of self-acceptance and sense of self-worth. When you're comfortable in your own skin, people will be drawn to you. They will enjoy being in your company. As an introvert, you may not be comfortable in saying out loud any one of the million thoughts and anxieties running through your head at any given moment. But the more confident you become, the better you will be at expressing your thoughts, and you may find the less worried you are about socializing in the right way. If you are more of an introvert, we hope these tips have been helpful. Let us know any of your suggestions or opinions in the comment section down below. And if you've liked today's video, head over to our main channel for more interesting content like this.